Hey everybody, it's Thursday, February 16th, and we are on week number 4 for Herbal Wisdom 101. It's Q&A time. We're going to talk about herbs for a while. I'd like to welcome everybody, all of my friends, old and new, and it's good to see everybody here. I've got some good questions tonight. And I'm not going to bother you with a whole bunch of reminders. I will let you know as an update on the homeschooling workshops. I've got the first book done and to my illustrator. And as soon as I get the information on that, then I will be posting on the Crooked House Herbals Facebook page and the website. Information about how to register for those workshops and costs and that kind of thing. I realize that some of you have lots of kids, and so I'm keeping this just, minimal cost and as inexpensive as I can make it so that everyone can be in on the experience. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to do this with you guys, and it'll be my first endeavor up here in the Ozarks, and I'm really excited about it. Another thing, I wanted to clarify something, and at this point, I don't really know how to fix it. So there are 2 Crooked House Herbals Facebook pages. The one that you want to access and be involved in and a part of is the one that is the 3 words, and you'll see my little house logo. It's Crooked House Herbals. That's the Facebook page that you want to be checking and messaging me on, and all of the other. The other one was one that was created when way back in 2000, whenever, 11 or something, when I created my Facebook page. My personal one, and I attached the Crooked House Herbals page to that one, and now I can't figure out how to get rid of that one. So if anybody can help me with that, let me know. But in the meantime, it's all one word, and that one will have on the profile picture, that will have like a picture of the sunrise coming up on my property and stuff. So that's not the one you want to spend time on, because that's not where I post. I post at the other one. Okay, so enough of that. Let me just dive into these questions, because I have quite a few, and they're all over the map tonight too, which is kind of interesting. So let's take the easy ones first. I got a question from Kim, and her question is, can you go through the steps? Can you be a little bit clearer and give me some good step-by-step information on how to clean my water distiller? So it's easy, Kim. What you do is you fill it up with, well, actually, take a look on the inside, and if it, depending on where your scale and your grungy, nasty stuff is, take the water to that level. You don't have to fill it all the way to the top. In fact, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Just, up to where the worst scaly stuff is. Then either put like 1/4 cup of citric acid, if you've got that, or use apple cider vinegar. And apple cider vinegar, I'm going to say probably about the same amount, probably about 1/4 cup. Then you leave the lid off of it, and you turn it on, and you just literally boil it out for 30 minutes or so. That's usually all I do. I don't usually do more than 30 minutes. And then turn it off and unplug it and dump it out, and then just wipe it out. You might have to, there might be some stuff that didn't all boil up. You might have to chip away at some of that with a knife, depending on, the hardness of the water you're using, the minerals that are in your water. So, or you could just do it again. But eventually all that stuff will loosen itself up and boil free, and then you can just pour it out. All right. Easy peasy. Okay, I had another question come in. She says, I have dark veins and blackness all around my feet. I have a lot of pain in my feet. And is there something I can do to help that? And I know I've talked about this, I think, already once before. But what does that sound like a sign of? Poor circulation. And what you need to do is increase your circulation to those areas however you can. I am going to suggest that you use my Deep Treat product, mainly because it has cayenne pepper in it, which we know increases your circulation, and it can target just that area because it's an ointment. You're not taking it, through your whole body. You're putting it directly on that area. And it's got arnica, which also is something that is used quite often to alleviate bruising and, dispel blood pooling and that kind of stuff. And then it's got calendula. It's got some other herbs in it that that are soothing and pain relieving and anti-inflammatory. So all of those things would be really beneficial for your pain. And I would, as often as you can apply it throughout the day, 2, 3, 4 times a day, the quicker you will see relief with your feet. So that's what I'm going to say there. What is a natural way that I can reduce swelling in my legs and feet? This is another question. I only have one kidney and I can't take diuretics. So I wouldn't recommend diuretics as, like chemical diuretics anyway, but there are some things that naturally you can do that won't hurt your kidney at all. And work every time. One of them is parsley root. If you can go to the store and buy some parsley root, it's the ball. It's that, you'll see it. It's in the produce section and it's usually in the refrigerated part and it just looks like a ball. Make tea with that. Chop some up, boil some water, and put about, I'm going to say, and then, I don't know, 1/8 of a cup, maybe a big, huge tablespoon of the parsley root into a cup. Fill your cup up with boiling water, cover it, and steep it for about 20 minutes. Drink that 3 or 4 times a day, and the edema will literally, it's actually kind of cool to watch, because what will happen is the water droplets will start coming through your pores and you will actually have water on the top of your skin where the water inside is coming out through your pores. So parsley root is big. Another one is celery juice. Celery juice will help reduce swelling as well. It's a natural diuretic. Cut the salt out. And if you don't, a lot of people say, well, I don't use salt, but what are you eating? Are you eating processed food? Are you eating restaurant food? Are you eating, there is probably salt in a lot of the things that you're eating. And, you just need to be aware of it and try to cut back. Eat very, very clean. Excuse me. And eliminate the salt for a while. Another thing is get some mild exercise. By that, I mean walk. Maybe walk the hallways or just some real general walking, especially if you're drinking that parsley root tea, because it will it will help move that water out of your tissues. And the other thing is distilled water. Make sure you're drinking distilled water and not tap water or even bottled water. If you look at the ingredients in Dasani water, you're going to be amazed. because it has a very high content for water of sodium. Tricky, huh? Let's put salt in the water so it makes them thirsty and they want to drink more. So stay away from bottled water, distilled water. Sorry, I have a tickle. I'm probably just going to have to hack for a minute until I get this tickle out of my throat. Okay. So that was a good question. Parsley root, celery juice, cut the salt, mild exercise, distilled water. Okay, another question I have here is I have bleeding in my gums around a specific tooth in my mouth. Is there something that I can do to help with that? I think a week or two ago, I talked about oral hygiene and gums and things that you can do for that. So I'll just quickly repeat that. Product-wise, I would recommend that you use my Intense mouthwash. It's the best thing going. I feel like it is. I have lots of people that tell me how happy they are with it. But the reason it works so well is because it contains golden seal, which is a natural antibiotic and a healing agent. It's antibacterial. It's got clove, which helps with it numbs the pain, but it also is an antibacterial herb. It's got myrrh and can't think right off the top of my head everything that's in that, but I do know that it's a good combination of healing and detoxifying herbs as well as numbing analgesic effect, so that you get the relief, the pain relief from the infection or whatever, and it'll get rid of the infection. It won't just make it feel better, but you'll actually get rid of it. It's a very intense mouthwash. It works well. You can find any of these things on my website, crookedhouseherbals.com. You're welcome to go there, and the ingredients are listed underneath the products. So if you ever can't find ingredients, because sometimes things don't get updated as often as they need to, feel free to contact me, and I will get you those ingredients if you need them. I know a lot of people have allergies or sensitivities to certain things, and it's important for you to check first and see what's in things before you use them. So I recommend that. Okay, another question that I have. Ooh, I'm glad I got rid of that tickle. I had somebody ask me, I won't go into the specifics of what this person is struggling with, but she basically has an assimilation issue. She doesn't assimilate. It's a condition. And if you aren't assimilating your nutrients, then you are not getting the benefit of your food. Even if you're eating really well, you're not going to benefit. You don't benefit from supplements. You don't benefit from anything if your body's not assimilating things. And the question was connected to a question about distilled water. And she was asking me, if I use distilled water, is it going to take out all the good things out of my body as well as the bad? And the answer to that is no. And the reason for that is because everything that your body needs and can assimilate, it will assimilate. If it can't assimilate things, they lodge. And that's what your body, that's what distilled water will remove from your body, is not the things that not the nutrients and the elements that your body is assimilating, but the things that your body is not assimilating. And that happens a lot. One of the most common things that I have run across is when people take calcium. Okay? They'll say, oh, I need to take my calcium because I'm not getting enough calcium. Well, first of all, oral calcium, especially if it's in a tablet, I don't take anything that's in a tablet because I don't know what's in that tablet and I don't know how it was made. And these days, I don't even know where it was made. So if I can't see the herb inside the capsule, so at least I know that part's legit, it doesn't go in my mouth. But tablet form calcium is probably the most common, and people will take it. And sometimes they have enough sense to take it with magnesium, which, you know, you're supposed to do like a 2-to-1 ratio of magnesium and calcium together in order to assimilate your calcium. But most of that kind of calcium, that synthetic calcium, is not assimilatable. And that's like the number one thing that gets lodged in your body. And you start, some people can't process it at all, and they'll end up forming stones in their kidneys and their gallbladder and different things like that, or you will get joint pain. You know, unusual things will start occurring because you've got these minerals that are lodged in your body that aren't being assimilated. So that's why drinking distilled water, it goes through, it's completely empty. It's totally hungry. So it just grabs all of those things that don't belong there and flushes them out. So that's a good thing, because you don't want the stuff sitting in there if your body's not going to assimilate it anyway, right? So calcium, I talked to you about calcium before. The best kind of calcium is the calcium like you find in my children's tea or my children's tincture. It's oat straw. And you can drink it as a tea. You can, I mean, it's very mild, doesn't really have a taste. But there are different forms of calcium that you can get from different plants and vegetables. I would, if you need calcium in your body, I would definitely try to get it naturally first. And sadly, one of your worst sources of calcium is going to be cow's milk. So don't go there unless you just absolutely have to have cow's milk. But everything that comes out of a cow these days, unless you've raised that cow and you have fed that cow, you are going to get in, you're going to be taking it into your body, which means any antibiotics, any other kinds of injections, any treated GMO, who knows what food, you know, unless you know that cow is strictly grass-fed and had a clean life, the last thing you want to do is eat it, because you don't know where it's been and what's in it. It's like knowingly eating fish that are full of mercury. Why would you do that? You know, you have to be careful about the animal life these days. It's not like it used to be, you know. And like I said, unless you're the one raising that cow and you know what's in the cow and what isn't in the cow, that's different. Okay, so back to assimilating. Some of the ways that you can assimilate, even if you've got a genetic issue, or if you've got another kind of condition that is preventing you from assimilating. Some of you who have taken my classes, I'm hoping, are going, ooh, oh, ooh, 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 I know the answer. There is a good answer for this one. It's called aloe vera. So get your hands on some aloe vera, and preferably the big long aloe vera leaves. You can even buy them in the grocery store. Split them open, scrape out all that gel, and eat it by the spoonful. Put it in a smoothie, mix it up in water and drink it. Don't eat the outside of it unless you need a laxative, because that's what that part's good for. But aloe vera, among many other things, is one of the best things to help your body assimilate, especially protein. It will really help you with a protein uptake. Your body, it works in conjunction with your body processes and helps you to assimilate proteins and nutrients. Assimilation begins with digestion, and digestion begins in your mouth. So your first point of digestion is here. It's your saliva. So be careful and be aware and cognizant of how you are eating, and chew your food a long time. I've been noticing that, and this used to be a common problem for me when I used to teach school, because you have like zero time to eat. And I would wolf down my food, or I would like eat while I was working, doing other stuff. And then I'd wonder why I had a stomach ache. By the end of the day, my gut was just killing me. And it was like, well, I don't even remember eating lunch. You know, I know I ate it because my lunchbox is empty, but I don't remember eating it. And that was not very good for me. I couldn't, I made myself sick doing that, because I needed to take the time to chew, mix my food up with my saliva, and then swallow it. Because most of your digestion takes place in your small intestine. Okay, so it needs to be in a certain condition by the time it gets there. And if you are just literally eating like my dog does, which is, she doesn't even chew stuff. I don't know how she isn't miserable all the time. But you've got to take time to chew your food very well. I mean, chew, and mix. Even Dr. Christopher used to say, chew your juice. Even the fruit juice that you put in your mouth or anything like that, chew it, mix it with your saliva, and then swallow it, so that your digestion is easy. Another thing that's good for, gut health is huge. And it's such a trendy thing now. It kind of cracks me up. It's like, leave it to the pharmaceutical companies and, anybody that wants to make a buck to sensationalize, to make note of all of these other things that they can make money on. And one of them is gut health. It's a big thing now. Probiotics and this and that and the other. But there's truth to that. If you study different cultures, especially the Asian cultures, they don't have digestive problems. They don't have IBS. They don't have any of that stuff, but they eat a lot of fermented food. They eat kimchi. They eat cabbage. They eat a lot of different types of fermented food. Personally, I love kombucha. And kombucha is a fermented tea, green tea. I use green tea. And you can add ginger and different things to it, which help with digestion. But try to seek out some fermented foods that you can enjoy. And, just a couple tablespoons of that stuff during the day will really help a lot with your ability to assimilate. Another thing that eat small amounts of food more frequently, so that your digestive tract and your whole system has more time to work on less. If you have a digestion issue, or if you have an assimilation problem, you don't want to tank your system up with a whole bunch of food and then hope that it figures it out. Just give yourself small portions, several throughout the day, so that your liver works better. Everything has a smaller amount of work to do. A lot of times I tell people when they're wanting to do a liver cleanse or, something like that, to eat a mono diet, so that they eat only one thing at a time. I know it sounds weird, but, have a baked potato or a plate of watermelon or, salad, but not salad loaded with 1,600 vegetables, just, kind of a simple salad with no cheese and all the other stuff on it. Just, a simple salad. But just giving your system a chance to keep up and not overloading it will also help with that. There are some herbs. Aloe vera, of course, is one of them. Also, another way that really boosts your ability to absorb and assimilate is olive oil. And I know you're going to go, what? When I tell you this, but the best thing to do is to rub it onto your skin. Give yourself an olive oil, cold pressed olive oil, organic, good stuff. It's food. And if you rub it all on your skin and on the bottoms of your feet and just like give yourself a good rub down of olive oil, it's kind of tricky because then you just have to let it soak in before you can do much. But it will go in and it will actually work as a mechanism to help you absorb other nutrients. And it will feed you at the same time. So if you are not getting the nutrition that you need, the olive oil will pick up the slack. It's pretty cool. I have some cool stories about that, if you're interested in hearing them sometime. Okay, I have a story. I know I have a story about a kid who was born. Well, they kind of just gave him up to die, and this lady was a nurse, and she took him home to take care of him. He was going to die. He was just a small child, and he couldn't absorb anything. And there was nothing they could do. This was before the days of, keeping people alive artificially. And so they just kind of sent him home to die, and which would be a horrible way to die. But he was literally starving to death. He couldn't, food was just going right through him, and he wasn't absorbing anything. And this nurse took him home. She was also an herbalist, and she rubbed him down in the morning and at night with olive oil, a real good olive oil. And she did that every single day. And 18 years later, he went to a symposium with his mom. Well, the woman that raised him, the nurse. And Dr. Christopher was speaking there. And he went up with her to introduce himself, and she wanted to show him that this was the child that they, not Dr. Christopher, but that had been given up to die. And he was now nearing 20 years old, completely healthy. And his body, it was such a gradual process. It took a lot of years for him to be able to actually, his system to actually start working normally. But we know now what they didn't know then, and that is you get new cells every 11 months. So as you move onto a different track and you're moving in a different direction of health, those cells will replicate in that healthier way. So it took a long time, but he was alive and he was healthy, and he still used olive oil every night. He said that. He said, I still rub olive oil on me, but I imagine he had really nice skin. But that's how powerful olive oil is. So give it a try. Slippery elm is another one that will assist you with assimilation and uptake of nutrients. Another thing that I will just mention is food pairing. Like, let's see, I'll give you an example. Okay, so they're like vitamin A, D, E, and K. Okay, all of those vitamins are really important, but a lot of times they don't get assimilated into our body because we don't take them with a fat. Unless, you're taking an oil, like a fish oil or something like that, that's got those particular vitamins in it. So if you're taking vitamins A, D, E, or K, I recommend that you take them with a little bit of avocado or a handful of seeds or nuts, some kind of natural fat, or olive oil. And they'll be assimilated into your body much better than if you don't. I've told people lots of times, if you're taking turmeric, thinking that you're helping with your inflammatory issues or whatever, and you're not taking it with fat, it's going right through you. You might even notice it. It's like, kind of orange in here. Because it doesn't assimilate in your body at all. Now, if you put black pepper with it and you mix it in with some fat, put some olive oil in there, whatever, and then take the turmeric, yep, it's going to assimilate into your body. Other food pairings that make like complete proteins would be like rice and black beans. Separately, they're incomplete proteins, but if you mix them, if you combine them, they're complete proteins. Cooked tomatoes and olive oil is a really good food pair for uptake and assimilation. Also, apples and lentils together. Just some ideas. But if you want to, I'm sure you can get on the internet and you can look up even more ways to consume your nutrients in such a way that your body will assimilate them better. Even if you have a condition, even if you have something that's causing you to not assimilate, you can still work around that by doing some of these other natural things. And I would definitely recommend the olive oil rubs. You'd be surprised. Be very surprised. Okay. The next question, what am I doing? 7:30. All right. Well, let's see if I have anybody that's given me any live questions. Nope. So far, so good. Okay. Hi, Paige. I see you. Okay. Another question that came in was about cholesterol. And how's the best way to lower cholesterol? It's a common question. I get a lot. Cholesterol, first of all, you have to remember what it is. It's that it's actually an alcohol that's found in your body. It's like a glistening white crystalline substance, and it's insoluble in water. It's found in bile, in your gallstones, in nerve tissue. That's where you find cholesterol. Okay. And it stems from improper foods. It's a mucus condition. Now, remember when I talked, it might have been the first week we were talking about mucus. And your body produces mucus. It's kind of like the oil for your car. You have to have a certain amount of mucus in your body to move things around and to lubricate and do. But the problem is that when you start producing, you have an overproduction of mucus, you can't get rid of it fast enough. And then things start sticking to it. And it's dragging toxins all through your body. And it's having a real negative effect. So you have to clean up your diet in order to get rid of that stuff. There are herbs that can help to reduce it, and we'll talk about that in a second. But as a long-term endeavor, you're going to have to change the way you eat in order to lower your cholesterol. Apple cider vinegar and honey, we've talked about that as a morning beverage. Or if you don't want to do it in the morning, sometimes people have that afternoon lull. Maybe do it in the afternoon as a little pick-me-up. It's a combination that can't be beat. And the honey is important. The honey is synergistic with the vinegar. So don't think it's just there to make it taste better. It's important. Cayenne or any of the cleansing herbs will do a good job. By cleansing, that's a whole nother class all by itself. But there are herbs that are cleansing herbs. If you stick with apple cider vinegar, honey, and cayenne, you really can't go. You'll be way ahead of most people. Wheat germ oil is excellent for feeding your heart, and it helps cut cholesterol, and it smooths the removal areas. Wheat germ oil to me, though, tastes really gross. I don't like wheat germ oil. So I have to, if I'm going to use it for anything, I have to disguise it because it tastes disgusting to me. I would rather take a spoonful of olive oil any day than take wheat germ oil. They say it's an acquired taste. I just can't acquire the taste. I don't know why. Can't get that, and fish oil. Bleh, I can't do it. So if you can do it, it's a good one. Okay, so blood cleansers. Cleansing herbs like red clover, red raspberry. Those are the leaves, red raspberry leaf and red clover. Red clover is a great cleansing herb. Burdock is a cleansing herb. Those are some of the strongest. In fact, burdock is probably one of the best. And red clover. I would put those two together and maybe drink a tea made with that. With burdock, you're going to want to use the root, most likely. It's where all the power is. It's in the root. Astringent herbs will also help. Okay, let me see what I've got written down here. Oregon grape, burdock, prickly ash. Oh, licorice root is another good one. Poke root is another good one. And, of course, red clover blossoms. Those are all, and sarsaparilla. And those are all really good because they are astringent as well as cleansing, and they'll help clean the arteries, strengthen the veins, all the things. Cholesterol is not its own separate thing outside of your, the rest of the way your body works. It affects everything. So in order to get the cholesterol out of your body, you're going to have to cleanse it. Okay, you're going to have to use the cleansing herbs. You're going to have to change your diet so you're not taking in more cholesterol and producing more. And then it's just a process of removing it. Lecithin will help break down cholesterol. Vitamin C will help break down cholesterol. Vitamin C is very good, and you can get that in a lot of foods. Like I said last week, the highest source of vitamin C is what? Who remembers? Pine needles. The yellow pine is one of the best, and that's what we have up here in Arkansas. Loblolly or yellow pine, whatever you call them. Really high in vitamin C and really high in vitamin A. And it's a darn good tea. You can make the tea with it, put some honey in it or lemon or whatever you want to do, and it's delicious. And you can drink it cold. It's very, very satisfying, very thirst quenching. Alfalfa is another thing that will work to cleanse cholesterol, remove cholesterol from your body. So, on that note, and another one is garlic. And we talked about garlic last week and how powerful garlic is. So, there are greens, phytogreens that you can buy in containers that are powdered. So try to get some that's been, processed without a lot of heat, if you can, and that are organic. And in there, you're going to find spirulina, chlorella, alfalfa. A lot of times they'll put fenugreek and a few other things in there. A spoon of that in your daily drink of whatever it is will work wonders for helping to bring down cholesterol. Another thing is tomatoes. They contain nicotinic acid, which helps reduce cholesterol. My favorite go-to is green tea because I'm a tea drinker anyway, and I love green tea. When I went to Japan is when I experienced green tea in a way I've never had it before. And and it's like the matcha tea. And I can never get enough green tea. I love it. And fortunately, it's not, it has a caffeine, but it's a different kind of caffeine. It's not the kind that makes you jittery and gross and nervous and where you would have like withdrawals if you stop drinking it. It's a different kind of caffeine. It's more of a sustained energy type caffeine. And so it's not even noticeable for a lot of people, especially if you're a coffee drinker. But green tea will keep your cholesterol levels down, way down. The key is the diet. And we call it the mucusless diet because it consists of fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, and seeds. Nowhere in there did you hear me say eggs, dairy, or meat. So a lot of people go, oh, I can't go without my meat. Well, then just make sure you know where your meat's been fed and where it's been grown. A small amount of fresh fish or chicken would be fine, but have the bulk of your diet consist of fruits, nuts, vegetables, grains, and seeds. 5 things. If you don't believe me, try it. I challenge you. I promise you, it will change your life. And I'm not promoting vegetarianism or anything else. I'm just promoting a mucusless diet because that's the problem with our society, is our society is completely upside down when it comes to diet. There's too much salt, there's too much dairy, there's too much milk, there's too much processed food made with flours and things that are all processed and dead. I mean, think about it. Flour is a completely dead food. There's nothing in flour that you can get out of it, except for whatever they enrich it with. Your enriched flour. So they put stuff back in it. But in order to make flour, you have to kill it. I like, my favorite bread and what I eat is Ezekiel bread. But you can't find it. Yeah, you have to look for it in the frozen section because that's where it is. Has 0 preservatives. It's sprouted grain bread. It's not made like other breads. It's delicious. It's like real food. And it's the only bread that doesn't give me a stomachache. So, if you really want to lower your cholesterol and you really are looking to make that change, I applaud you. Good for you. But expect that you're going to have to make some changes that are not going to be real convenient or comfortable for you if you are ingrained in your present eating style and lifestyle right now. I mean, it's one thing, to fall off the wagon every now and then and, eat something that you're not supposed to. And it's another thing to stock your house full of food that isn't what you need. So I would suggest, don't eat the elephant all in one bite, but slowly start to take things out of your cupboards and your refrigerators and wherever that there's no real food in that. And just start replacing it with fresh vegetables, fresh fruits. And if you have children, do it now. And get them used to eating real food. Don't raise them up on McDonald's or Wendy's or chicken nuggets, whatever that is. Do your kids a favor and teach them how to eat right and give them the chance to develop that palate, that taste for real food. So when they do eat something that's not, they'll know the difference and they won't like it. And they won't have cholesterol problems. you can, nip it in the bud with your kids. They won't grow up having the same problems you have. Because I hate to tell you, genetics are not they're not the end of the story. If that was the case, then we'd probably all be doomed in one way or another, but we're not, because we get new cells every 11 months. The ball's in your court. What are you going to do between now and then that can change the course of those cells, the replicating of those cells? Are you going to change it for the better or the worse? You have to think about like a gorilla, okay? Gorillas live in the Amazon or in the jungles, wherever, and they're huge, and they're muscular, and they're strong, and they're healthy, and they don't eat meat. Gorillas don't eat meat. They have a total plant-based diet. They eat seeds and vegetables and fruits and greens. And yet they're powerful and strong, and their muscle makeup is amazing. If you want to eat grains, I would suggest too that you definitely do a low heated thing. Don't boil them to death. I think I've told some of the people in my class how to make oatmeal. Get yourself a thermos and put your oats, your steel cut oats, or your whatever kind of oats you're going to eat, in your thermos, and put your boiling water in there and your fruit or whatever else you want to have with it. Put the lid on it, turn it upside down, and go to bed. In the morning, your oatmeal's ready. And it's hot. So it's still cooked, but it's been a low heat cook all night. You getting my message? So you don't want to microwave everything you eat. And if you're eating fruits, nuts, grains, vegetables, and seeds mostly, you're not going to have a whole lot of occasion to do a whole lot of cooking with that stuff anyway. If you are, then you're kind of missing the point. Don't high heat cook anything. Low heat cook. Use your crock pot. If you're going to do it, anything at all. Just low temperatures. Cook it for longer at a lower temperature so that you can retain some of the nutrients in your food, or eat it raw if you can. It's not always fun to eat cold raw food, especially when it's cold outside. I like soup. I like chunky soup. But I'll just cook it on a low heat and I'll cook it all day. Or overnight. And it's ready in the next day. So it takes a little bit of rethinking, and it takes a little bit of concerted effort on your part, but it's totally doable. Basically, what we're doing is we're going back to the way they used to eat. Back in the day, before convenience overtook our lives and our health. Because, again, when I was a kid, very seldom did you ever hear of people having cholesterol problems, and especially in their 20s. That wasn't something you had when you were young. And you certainly didn't see 10-year-olds with diabetes. Oh my goodness. I taught middle school, and I had quite a large percentage of children in every one of my classes. I taught 440 kids a semester. And a good chunk of those had diabetes, they were overweight. And when I would talk to them, and by overweight, I mean like seriously overweight, unable to breathe right. They were so overweight. But when I talked to these kids and I'd find out what they ate, most of them, the only meals they ate were at school. And then if they did have anything to eat when they went home, Guess what it was? McDonald's. Or junk food. They'd go up to the Dollar General and come home with a bag of stuff, chips, and that's what they ate. It's no wonder they can't think. It's no wonder they have a hard time sitting in a chair and concentrating. So don't allow your children, and they think it's great. They rule the roost. I don't want that. I don't want to eat that. Well, my mom would tell me if I ever said that, which I never did. I was one of those kids that pretty much liked everything. I even liked spinach when I was a kid. But she would have just said, fine, you don't have to eat it, but this is what we're having for dinner. You're just going to be hungry. I guarantee you did that more than 2 times. Kids are going to come up to the table and eat whatever there is to eat. But I mean, and it's not just hammering them with right eating habits. It's helping them understand what's going on with their body. It's the same reason that I want to teach the herbal workshops for homeschoolers. The sooner and the earlier we can teach our kids how to identify herbs and what they can do for them and how they can heal them, or even things like, if they get stung by a bee, what do? They pull up a piece of plantain and it'll pull that stinger right out because it sucks toxins out. They can learn how to make their own healing salves and their own medicinal things. I mean, when I was in Hot Springs, I did several workshops like that. And there was one little girl that was so proud of herself because she had her own medicinal kit, her own first aid kit. She knew just what to do. If Grandpa cut his finger, she'd go get her little kit out and fix him up. She was like 7. So that's exciting to me. That's making a difference. That's turning things around. It's a little bit harder for adults that are stuck in their ways and they don't want to give up their easy, convenient food the reason that we get so addicted to certain things is because they're full of sugar and salt. So basically, to get off of those kinds of foods, you literally have to go through withdrawals. But so what? It's like 3 days. I mean, any rehab center person will tell you that 3 days you're not addicted anymore. So can you do it for 3 days? Yeah, you can. Then you don't have that addiction anymore. I know. Shut up, Wendy. You're telling me stuff I don't want to hear. But I love you guys, and I want you to have healthier, happier lives. I want you to have healthy kids. I want you to be able to cut the strings and live your own life. And you know what? Those of us that live in Arkansas, we are so blessed. We live in such a wonderful place. We can grow our own food. We can have our own animals. We have clean, fresh water. Lots of it. Although I did just find out that Bull Shoals Lake has a really bad mercury problem. Blech. But, for the most part, this is it's the natural state. And we're very, really blessed. There's a lot of people that don't live in places like we do. They can't have gardens unless they're in containers. That, have neighbors so close they can reach out and touch their houses. We're blessed. Don't take it for granted. I love my dirt. I really do. And I'm excited to see what spring brings. There's a lot that's going to be happening this spring in our dirt. And I'm excited to talk about it, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. But I'm here to answer any questions that you have, and I hope that this information has helped you. It's hard for me to go really, really in depth with any one particular thing because we only have an hour. But I am here, and if you want to talk further with me, send me a message on Facebook or drop me an email at wendy@crookedhouseherbals.com. And then I'll get a hold of you and I'll give you my cell number or whatever, and we can talk on the phone. I don't give it out, just for everyone, but I will if you get a hold of me. Okay? And let's see how we do. 6 minutes. Anybody else have any other questions? Let me see if I covered everything. Oh, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about nervines and adaptogens and the difference that those make. But I'll save that for next week. I'll just slurp it over onto my next week's stuff. Thank you for your questions. They were all really good. Oh, one other thing I can let you know about. Those of you that live up in this area, I'm in Alpena. In May, the Ozark Folk Festival has an herbal symposium that they do, an herbal weekend, where they have foraging herb walks in the wilderness out there, the forest out there, and then they have an all-day symposium on Saturday with different herbalists speaking, and they have contacted me and asked me if I would speak. So I will be there. It's the weekend of May 12th, and I will also be conducting herb walks on Friday and Sunday. So if you want more information about that, you can... Oh, hang on. Let me see if I can find it for you real quick. It's the Ozark Folk Festival, and I'm sure everyone knows where that is if you live up here. Mountain, I want to say Home, but it might be View. I always get the View and the... Okay. It's not the one in Eureka Springs. It's the one... So it's called something different then. Mountain View. It's in Mountain View, Arkansas Folk Festival. It's really neat there. And they have all kinds of artisans and like old time artisans too, like blacksmithing and that kind of stuff, which I love. But they also have an herb shop, and I'll actually have a table set up in there with some of my products, and a friend of mine, it will be up there with her plants. They have, potters and all kinds of things. It would be a really fun weekend for you to do. It's also Mother's Day weekend, so if you're looking for something fun to do on Mother's Day. But it's the Ozark Folk Center in Mountain View. So if you Google that, you can take a look at that. And it's the event that's taking place on May 12th. So maybe I'll see some of you guys there. In the meantime, my first homeschooling workshop will be the third week of April. I'll post the date and all the particulars as soon as I get this, get my workbook back, and I know for sure that it's up and happening. Because I think what I'm going to do is put that up on Amazon this time so that you can get your book from Amazon. And like I said, if you've got, 8 kids in your family, they don't all need to have their own book. If you want to work that out, they share a few or whatever. It is a workbook. You do write in it and, other things, but you can figure that out with your kids if you want to do that. It won't be real expensive either way. So I will get all the particulars up for that. I'm really excited about it, and I'm asking God to make sure that I have plenty of stuff already up and growing so that we can have a real good herb walk and stuff when we start in April. All right, guys. God bless you. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sending me your questions, and thank you for your interest and your desire to live healthy and pursue natural ways of living, being well, getting, we have everything we need. We really don't need anything else. So sometimes it takes a little doing, and I always recommend, doctors are good for one thing in my mind, and that is a diagnosis. And sometimes you have to go to 2 or 3 just to make sure the diagnosis is right. But if you can go somewhere and you can get blood workup, or you can get, some kind of a diagnosis if you're dealing with a health issue, and then you can choose from that point whether to take a natural protocol and go a natural way, or, sign up with your doctor and go the allopathic way. But I always recommend that you do that first, and then you give yourself a chance to either contact an herbalist or a naturopath of some kind and explore your options before you just, jump in with pharmaceuticals and surgeries and all the other things that are on their list. When I had cancer, I think the thing that upset me more than anything was that I found out, actually it was when my husband had cancer, that because when I found out that I had it, I decided I wanted to do a natural protocol. Well, in order for me to do that with like a clinic or anything like that, I had to leave the country because it's illegal right now in our country to treat cancer in any other way other than chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery. It's against the law. So you won't find clinics in our country that will treat you naturally. Not officially. So I just went around it and I bought a book and I did it myself. Me and God. It turned out fine. So don't be afraid to be alive, guys. Enjoy every day. Don't waste any time. And I will see you again next Thursday at 7. God bless. Have a great weekend.